For me, definitely a big point of emphasis was just being in the gym, shooting all summer. Obviously, I know that's what I need to improve on, especially playing on this team with somebody as talented as Nicola and Jamal and our other guys who like to facilitate. So I just spent all summer in the gym shooting with our shooting coach, Mike Penberthy, and then just lifting every day, working on a lot of things, strengthening my body, and just getting ready to play an 82-game season.
P. Watts, a.k.a.
Absolutely.
Peyton Watson. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nugget season previews. We're previewing Peyton Watson now. Really his third year, but kind of feels like his second year. Had the redshirt year. Coming off a solid year. Didn't play as much in the playoffs as we would have liked. But here's the big question for him. What's his role going to be on offense? We know defensively what he can do. We'll see if he ups it. But offensively, off that second unit, I'm not sure his role, Harrison.
Well, is he going to transition more into an Aaron Gordon type of role? As
Dunker spot?
The dunker spot? Or is he going to be more of a perimeter guy? You know, I think he wants to be more of a perimeter guy. And, like, that's how he could really, you know, take some more steps as an offensive player. I hope he has a role where we see him as a playmaker more, where we see the ball in his hands, we see what he's got as a passer, as a creator, as a guy who can make some stuff happen, because I think he's got some of that in his bag. He just hasn't been really in position consistently to let it show.
This year's going to be telling because I think that this is the one that dictates what he is for the rest of his career. Is he going to be that guard, or is he going to be a guy that is running those type of pin down screen, cut, you know, type of things? Again, like you just said, I do think that he wants to be a guard. I think that he is a facilitator. He can create off the dribble, and he hasn't had many opportunities to set up other guys. But now with more minutes, now with a higher expectation, he's going to be able to do that. And that's where he excelled, you know, prior to being in the NBA. Right now, he has just been the young guy. This is the year that he gets to establish himself and become who he wants to be. And I think that that's a creator.
Fellas, I think my concern level for Peyton of the kind of next level of guys is maybe highest. And part of this question is part of it. I'm not sure what the clear-cut answer here is. Whereas I think with Christian, we all see what it could or should look like. Julian, pretty straightforward, get some shots up. Hopefully you hit them. How and where and when does Peyton Watson get the ball in the half court? Does he need to for his development? You know, transition, he should be a weapon, but that's your entire offensive plan can't just be transition. I mean, so what does it look like in the half court? Is he a shooter yet? Can he stay on the floor in key matchups because of the shooting? The answer, of course, could be yes to all of these things, but I think Peyton Watson, there's some gray area here, and I'm not quite sure what to expect from his season.
Yeah. I'm with you on this one. I'm a little concerned about what his role will be on offense. I don't know that it's going to be clear cut. In fact, he might be a guy that has to adjust roles the most based on who he's sharing the court with. And that's a tough spot for a young player. But also, where do you establish your role? Sometimes when you're a young player, sometimes in the summer, working with the coaching staff. We know he worked out this summer, but Michael Malone was saying maybe more, you know, outside of the facility. And then in training camp, you know, he's been hurt. And training camp, guys are starting to earn role. Like, oh, okay, guys are going, well, let's run this play for him, let's run that. He's really not going to benefit from that in this training camp, and I worry that puts him, no pun intended, behind the 8 ball just a little bit.
I mean, absolutely. Like, this hamstring injury, it's a big deal. Like, a hamstring injury in training camp that he's dealing with, that's not a great way to start the season.
It's not. I'll give you a shocking stat, though. A very shocking stat. I like this one. I'm really playing around with Second Spectrum, having a great time. He ranked 8th in the NBA in block shots when jumping at least 5 feet.
Somebody needs to take Second Spectrum away from you.
When jumping
How
at
do
least
you even
5
filter
feet.
down to this?
I'm telling you, I'm having a ball. I'm having a ball with my stats here, fellas.
Have your kids seen you recently?
But think about the stat. Think about the stat. You block shots, vertical, this or that. But Peyton, the reason I looked this up was Peyton covers a lot of ground, jumps far, contests, like whatever. He is so good at it. He ranked 8th. All the guys ahead of him are like centers, like Wembanyama in different places, and also play way more minutes than him. He did 8th on those types of blocks, playing off the bench in a very limited role. I feel like that means something, Dev.
Oh, it definitely means something. You're a nerd. How did you even get to this point? This is insane.
People appreciate it.
This is good, honestly. This is a good one. But also it goes to show like how unique of a player he is, and especially on that defensive end. Being able to do this as, not a center.
Yeah.
Like you just talk about Wemby, and we already know what type of defender he is. But like him having a niche like to this way, it shows that he can be elite. It just has to be at a specific thing.
Peyton Watson gets the blocks that very few other players do.
Yeah.
He blocks shots that should be impossible to block. That's the rare skill that he has. That's the top 1% thing that he possesses. So it's a very shocking stat.
Well, he also makes plays away from his assignment, right? He's a playmaker, play chaser. Think about the game where I think he had 2 or 3 blocks or contests of Steph Curry that really stand out in our minds, and those were him coming all the way off his guy and making a huge play, covering that ground like you pointed out. Peyton Watson, pterodactyl build, really is unique in that way.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very interesting stat, Adam. Shocking, I might say.
It is shocking, but I think it's meaningful because the Nuggets need it. You need a rim protector. If you do play Michael Porter alongside Saric, and that's your front court, well, your back court better cover a lot of ground defensively.
Right.
And that blocking shots from 5 feet, 6 feet of distance, that means something. I think it is his most important skill, and I hope we see it increase this year. Another thing I hope we see increase, minutes alongside Jokic. Let's look closest to the pin here. Last year, Peyton Watson played 637 minutes with the big fella, 851 without. So 637 was last year's mark. Vote. How many minutes does he share the court with Nikola Jokic this year?
Let's go up to the 670s.
Man, that's basically the same.
Basically the same. Yeah, because I kind of see it that way. This is sort of what I was getting at earlier. Christian obviously is going to have to play more minutes with Jokic. Russell Westbrook is going to play more minutes with Jokic. As you sort of sort your way through it, is Peyton Watson going to get a lot of opportunity there? Is Malone going to cut it out for him? I'm not so sure. And so I think this is part of why I sort of described his season the way I did up front.
Yeah.
I'll say slightly higher as well than what Vote had.
670 is what he had. So what are you going to go?
I'll say 690.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a little more, but not a huge increase.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't know. It might be tough for Peyton Watson to get, 20-plus minutes per game this season. I'd be pretty surprised if he played more than that. It's he didn't play that last year, obviously, but right now he's kind of the odd guy out. It feels like, and if he did play with Jokic, I think it might benefit him more than maybe almost anybody. But it could be tough to find those minutes.
I'll go with about 800. I think it's going to be a lot more, just because I think that there's things that you can't put into it, like maybe Christian Brown has to sit a few games, or something happens, or also maybe they just tinker with lineups at random times. We already talked about the 2 spot is not solidified.
Yeah.
But if they're going with Christian Brown right now, and Strother is number 2, maybe they want to go back to the exact same type of build with the defense. So Peyton Watson would step into that before Julian Strother would. So I just think that there's more opportunities. Also, if he's playing at this level defensively, it's going to be hard to take him off of the court. That's just going to be tough. If he's knocking down shots and doing these things that Christian Brown may, struggle with at times, you're going to have those opportunities. So this is a year where he can put himself as part of the rotation.
I'm going to go 637. Run it back. Michael Malone, it'd almost be a cruel joke that he just runs it the exact same. And I think his minutes, again, probably mirror last year's, mostly without Yoke, not quite half 50-50, more of a 35-65 split. I just think that's what it's going to be. And you think about it, I like your point about injuries, because that's the best way I could see him getting more minutes with Yoke.
Yeah.
But the truth is, I think I could see Christian playing most of his minutes with Yoke, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter, even Jamal Murray. You start to go to staggered. Russell Westbrook, I could see a lot.
Yep.
Peyton Watson's a guy I just have a hard time. All those guys I see more playing with Yoke than Peyton Watson, and that's one of the reasons I think this is another year for him, another growing year. Everybody expects a leap. I think the leap is probably the following season.
Sure,
that's the big leap. But this year, I think, is more of a solidifying what he does in the role that he has. But you know what? One thing that could up that is if he shoots the ball better. And he's a pretty good mid-range shooter. So I asked my colleague, Tim Legler, over on the All-NBA show to analyze his shooting form and to give some notes on what he saw. And this is what he had to say. All right, now we welcome in Tim Legler, my co-host on the All-NBA show, which you can catch 4 times a week right on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast, the All-NBA show, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Legs, we're talking about Peyton Watson. And this is a guy, 3-point shot, it's going to come along. Mid-range, he shot well last year, and it looks like he has some mid-range to his game. But the mechanics, I'm not so sure about. What do you see when you see him pull up off the dribble from the mid-range?
Listen, I think, some of his mechanics are related to the fact that he is taking a lot of mid-range shots. That's his wheelhouse right now. So he's got a natural lean back.
Yep.
And his natural lean back helps him in mid-range shots because those are typically contested. So when you lean back, you get natural separation. Kevin Durant's got tremendous lean back on his mid-range game, and he's already 6'11". So therefore, it's really you're not bothering him because he separates with the lean back. Same thing with Peyton Watson. That lean back gives him the ability to get shots off the dribble in a little bit tighter windows than a lot of guys, and he's got pretty good length to go with it. If there's one thing I were looking at Peyton Watson, if I were working with him every day, that I would get him to improve because it's very inconsistent. And I notice when he does do this, he's a better shooter. He gives up on his release quickly. He recoils his hand really fast. He does not stay with the shot for any discernible period of time. When he does do it, and he typically does that more going to his right to the baseline, he tends to go up and hold his follow through and extend it a little bit more and hold it more. It's a stronger finish to the shot. It gives the ball a better opportunity to get there. If you'll notice, Peyton Watson, a lot of the mid-ranges he misses hit the front of the rim because he's already leaning back, and then he recoils his wrist quickly. He gives up on the shot without finishing it strongly to give you that extra couple of inches of arc to get the ball over the front of the rim. I noticed it, and if I were working with him every day, I'd be focused on him finishing the shot off at a much more consistent rate so that ball goes in at a higher rate.
I love the way Legs breaks down.
Unbelievable notes.
Not that bad.
It's pretty interesting stuff, honestly, about his shot, and you point him out, now you kind of notice him. Let's get bold, though, fellas. Let's get bold. Bring some positivity to it. I'll go first on this one. I think Peyton Watson this season wins a playoff game for the Nuggets.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'm not saying that he single-handedly does it. That's going to be Yoke Murray. But you know how you need an X factor that just kind of does something above expectation? I think in the playoffs this year, there is a game where Peyton Watson gets a shutdown performance, especially in key moments on the other team's best player, and it's the reason the Nuggets win.
That's very bold, but I love it. I love it. My bold prediction, I think he gets 7 blocks in a game. That would be a new career high. I believe his career high is 6 in a game. He can get to block shots that nobody else can. Like, he can be a game-changing weapon defensively in the paint. He'll have, there was a stretch of games last year where it felt like Peyton Watson was making the leap.
Yeah.
It came around when Aaron Gordon got the dog bite. But I think we get that again this season, and I think that 7-block stretch comes in that stretch of games.
You should have predicted he would block a shot from 15 feet away.
While jumping 5 feet in the air.
There you go. Dev?
Yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about the blocks. I'm going to stick on that because the defense is, what separates him. I was also playing around on Spectrum, and I pushed too many buttons. And one thing that I saw is that he's just like a unique defender. He really is blocking everything like you brought up earlier. I think he's going to lead all non-centers in blocks this year.
I like it.
That'd be crazy.
It would be crazy, and it's on the table, honestly. So, like Jaren Jackson Jr.,
center,
power forward or center?
He's a power forward, unfortunately.
He's going to be their center this year. I don't know. They have
That's a tough one.
Edie.
Anthony Davis, but
I
we'll
said
count
what
those
I
guys as
said.
center. We'll
I
count
said
those
what
guys
I
as center.
said.
Anthony Davis
Stand
center.
on it.
Sheepishly, no idea how hot this is. Honest to God, really, I have no idea. 2 5x5 games for Peyton Watson, 5 steals, 5 blocks in the same game. I think he'll do it
He
twice.
doesn't get steals, so it's
No, I
actually
know.
a bold one.
It's actually pretty bold.
I would love if he added steals to his repertoire.
Yeah, as you say that out loud, I'm starting to feel like this one's not going to hit, but I'm going to throw it out there, and then I'm going to stick with it.
That feels bold.
It is bold.
I'm going to stick with it.
Everybody, let us know in the comments below what is your bold prediction for Peyton Watson this year. And check out all of our player preview series. We got 9 of them. Hit that like button for us on the way out. We'll see you.